Hey, I'm Mike.
Hey, I'm Chris.
This is Mike and Chris Reloaded. This week we have somebody here with us. Go ahead.
I am back.
That's right, Dane.
Mr. Dane.
Troublemaker.
Yes.
Zombie Prince,
Not
if you're
as
nasty.
much as some of the guests we've had in the past.
Yeah, I haven't had to hit this one.
Not yet.
I imagine I'll be my brother Devin.
Probably. This week we're going to be covering urban legends. We're going to, I don't want to say kick off the month of spooky stuff because we already had our top 5 reload this month about alien movies.
That's right. That pretty much got us started. Got the ball rolling, I guess you can say.
That's right. So we're going to keep going along here. We're just going to give you a couple of or not our favorite, but a couple that just stood out in our minds. I'm sure there's more, and I'd like for you to post them on our YouTube channel or Facebook page if we miss out on some that you want to talk about, and we like them, and we'll bring it up next week. Just a shout out for you.
Yeah, there's a lot more, actually. By definition, an urban legend is basically a story of an unusual event or occurrence that people believe that's true,
But are not.
But are not true. So I just want to let you know, even though we talk about some of this stuff, it's not necessarily true. Just, but it has led to a lot of different occurrences in some of these instances. So
Yeah, because there's some whack jobs
that
out there
actually
that believe
are true.
this shit.
So
Wait, it's not true?
Damn it.
yeah. So just bear in mind that as we talk about some of these things, that although these stories were mostly just all fabricated, a lot of, like I said, real occurrences have come about with some of these stories, which are actually pretty disturbing. So, so if you're squeamish or frightened easily, still listen anyway.
Yeah, I'll kick it off here. The first one on my list is called The Vanishing Hitchhiker. I don't know if you're unfamiliar with this story. It's basically the same story, just it's different throughout the regions, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it's a newlywed couple driving down a deserted highway, see a girl in a white tattered dress on the side of the road. Um, the wife begs the husband, what begs the husband to pull over and pick her up, and they do, and she gets in there and she says, "Can you take me home? I live next to the gas station down the road." Well, they drive down the road, and once they get to the gas station, they find out that it's overrun and tattered down, and they turn around to ask the girl if this is it, and the girl is gone. She's no longer in their vehicle, but they still go on to the house, and they find out from the people that live there that, yeah, that was their daughter that died 18 years ago, or some crazy number like that. But it's different. I mean, people in Chicago call it Resurrection Mary. Northern California, they call it the Niles Canyon Ghost. Dallas, they call it Lady of the White Rock. And I'm going to say the Spanish culture, they call it La Chica de la Curva. I don't know what that is, but I did not translate that out. But it's basically the same thing. It's just a creepy story.
Isn't that basically Curvy Woman?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Now, the Vanishing Hitchhiker, isn't that the same thing? Is it similar to the Woman in White?
Yeah, it's the same principle basically as the Woman in White. They basically, all urban legends are there to, I think, scare or ward off certain behavioral practices.
Now, I know some of the stories I've heard about the Vanishing Hitchhiker, or the Woman in White, were some where she was just basically a warning to people, and some she was actually just more evil and foreboding to people.
Don't pick up hitchhiker.
Yeah, it's just
in your car.
There's been a lot of variations of stories of hitchhikers being picked up and stuff like that throughout the years. It probably stemmed from the Vanishing Hitchhiker, I'm sure.
Didn't we have a serial killer here in Florida that was a hitchhiker? There was a girl who hitchhiked and killed a whole bunch of guys and threw them in the swamps.
You've had a couple of serial killers.
That was wasn't that based off the movie Monster?
Yeah, and it was a true story.
She was a prostitute.
Yep.
Yeah, she would actually pick up people, promise them whatever sexual favors, whatever. And
she wasn't
kill them. But see, and this goes to show you that a lot of things we were talking about earlier, even though they're maybe not true, so to speak, but there's a lot of things that delve from it, or even some truths that come from it, or maybe something that happened there that created the story. You know,
Right.
so
But it's a good creepy story. I mean, definitely one to tell the kids at the campfire.
it is.
What's a campfire? That's when you go outside in the woods and to stay out in nature without technology for a couple of days.
No, it's a pit that you buy at Walmart for like $40, and you throw it in your backyard and you burn wood in it.
All right.
That's what mine is. I'm the lazy camper.
Mosquitoes are getting bad. Let's go back in the house.
So go ahead, Dane.
Dane, what you got?
Which first one?
I am gonna pull probably one of the oldest, the Halloween candy one. You know, razor blades and apples. You know, syringes or whatnot. But not to scare people. Origins started in the '60s. Some of the truth to it, but any real evidence that came about of it was afterwards. In 1974, an 8-year-old boy died after eating trick-or-treat candy that was laced with cyanide. But he didn't get it from trick-or-treating, he got it from his own father. But, yeah.
That makes it better.
Oh, yeah. But, about 16 years ago, there was a old man, about 49, in the 2000s that was putting little needles in bite-sized Snicker bars and handing them out to the neighborhood kids.
Yeah, I think that was the one I was thinking about in Wisconsin that happened. I don't know where it was from, but I remember when I lived in Wisconsin that there was some guy putting needles in candy bars.
Well, and this right here is this is a huge, I mean, thing for people. I mean, people, especially people with children.
Yeah, I don't let my kids eat candy without me checking
I remember
it.
growing up as a kid, you know, my parents would always say, you know, we need to check the candy first before, you know, because there was a big scare on it. You know, you don't know. You don't ever know what people are nowadays. You don't ever know about the guy back in the the late '80s, early '90s that was putting the syringes in the Pepsi cans.
Oh, I remember that.
Oddly enough, and this is a true story. In fact, you could ask one of my best friends, Jason. We actually went to school with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was on the cover of Time magazine. So, yeah.
I know that cycle.
And him and his sister always were kind of, and just not to stereotype them, but they were odd.
And altogether, Ricky.
They were really odd.
Were they quiet people?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the ones you want to stay away from.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it was pretty weird.
So I'm sorry I cut you off. Was there more to it, or?
No, that was just two of the biggest ones. But you know, there's always going to be the warning to parents. But everyone should actually check their candy and whatnot because you don't know that. Well, unless you go to downtown and do it like that, but you know.
Yeah, we live in a good city where we go around the lake yard here in town, and the only ones that pass out candy are businesses. But still, some of those business people could get pissed at you or pissed off at their company.
Or at the same time, you don't know what you're getting out of the bag.
Yeah. You don't know if someone slipped something in the bag.
Disgruntled employee at the Hershey factory or something. Yeah, but yeah, you just don't know.
You're already allowed like a percentage of insect parts anyway in chocolate.
You are too. That's pretty sad. Google it. So what you got for us, Chris?
First one I'm going to kick off here with it's Japanese have always been pretty good with their little urban legends. So I'm going to start off with one.
Everything they do, really.
Yeah, pretty much so. It's called the Slit-Mouthed Woman. The woman's name was Kuchisake Onna. Basically, she was just this very beautiful, just gorgeous woman who was just kind of the envy of everybody. But she was married to a very possessive samurai. Well, the samurai accused her basically of cheating on her, and basically took his knife and slit her mouth from ear to ear, a la Joker style, I guess. But after that, he let her live. He says, "Now, good luck having people tell you you're beautiful." Well, as the story goes, this woman walks around in basically a surgical mask, and she usually approaches young boys or young girls that are very attractive or whatever, and she'll walk up to them and ask them, "Am I beautiful?" And if they look at her and they answer yes, sure, She'll pull down her mask, show her disfigurement, and then she'll ask him, "How about now?" Well, of course, you see some just massive, crazy, disfigured woman, and you're like, "Oh no, no!"
Walmart.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you answer no to this woman, you actually die a horrible and gruesome death. She kills you, and there's no getting away from her because like you could turn around and run, and she'll be right there in front of you. However, her twisted logic, if you answer yes, you're still beautiful, she'll say, okay. She'll basically take it and slit your mouth from ear to ear just so you can be just like her.
I'm sure there's a loophole somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. If in 1979, actually, there was a woman spotted around in Nagasaki in Japan wearing the surgical mask, and this had caused such an uproar with people that the police actually gained more manpower to help guard the schools, and they advised every school children not to walk in, but unless they were in a group.
How do you take out a ghost?
Kind of like our current clown crisis.
I guess, yeah, kind of similar, yeah.
Did they make it illegal to wear the masks?
I don't know. I know they said they spotted a woman wearing a red surgical mask around that area. So at the time, and here's the thing, like you said, the loophole, Dane. They said if a woman ever approaches you and asks to that, give, I guess, non-descriptive answers like, yeah, you look okay, or
meh,
or yeah, you look average. I guess it kind of confuses her that she doesn't know how to take it, and it gives you time to get away.
About a 5.
About a 5.
You're in between.
Dude, I met this chick.
First of all, if a girl ever walked up to me and asked me if she was beautiful, I would get scared and run before I even answered.
Especially
because your wife would probably kill you. You wouldn't have to worry about her.
I would be gone. She'd be slipping on my crap.
Especially if she's wearing a surgical mask.
Yeah.
Now, see, when I read the story, the first thing I thought was like Mortal Kombat. So
yeah, true.
But yeah, that's like again, Japan always has good ones. So
yeah, my next one is, I want to say has been a long round. I want to say mine's been around the longest, and mine started in the 50s as a way to teach children not to have sex.
Anal probes?
Anal probes, yeah. No, it's the hook. The hook legend.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, if you haven't heard this legend, it's a guy and a girl go out to Lover's Lane, park, and they're making out, and a girl hears this noise outside the car, a scraping noise, and she said, "Stop, go check it out." And the guy's like, "No, we're fine. Let's keep going." And they keep making out, and a few seconds later, she hears it again, and finally she gets enough of it, and she steps out, and she screams, and the guy runs around the car to see what she's screaming at, and there's a bloody hook hanging on the car. There's also another form of this legend where the guy disappears into the woods, never to be found again, and the next morning the girl walks out to get in her car, and the bloody hook is hanging from her rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's actually also another variation of the story too.
Is there?
Yes.
What's that? Tell me.
The two couple are again making out, doing whatever, and she's hearing the noise, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry, it's fine. It's good." She's like, "No, there's a noise," and pretty soon she gets so frightened, not even worrying about him checking. She just said, "Let's go, let's leave." So they end up leaving. Going on, whatever. Well, they pull into a gas station or wherever, goes to get out, and he sees the hook embedded in the side of the car.
Gotcha. Yeah, I forgot to mention that supposedly right on the radio just before they start making out, they hear a broadcast of somebody escaping either an insane asylum or a prison with a hook for a hand. But these stories are put around for a reason, and they're made up by people, and it's to teach a moral, basically.
To hear the modern version of that one. You have a Facebook alert.
Yeah, you have a Facebook alert.
There you go.
Amber alert on your phone, right?
Oh yeah.
Nah, that's children though.
I'd be scared of some
Cold
kids too.
Crunch them. Oh no, another lunatic's escaped. Guess what? Happens every day.
But yeah, it's a good story.
I'm one of them.
You're one of them. You're lunatics that escaped.
Who said that?
with the hook.
I didn't say that. Don't hurt me, please. I'm fragile.
They'll never
Yes,
know.
he definitely is.
I break if I sneeze funny. I'm not lying either. I could sneeze and be laid up for a week. It's terrible. So what you got next, Dane?
Well, next we have actually one of my favorites from growing up, Bloody Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I can say I actually participated in that. But legend states that
You
it
know it's
was.
not real, Dane, right?
There's always a fraction of truth in all fiction. Think about that.
But you're still here.
Touche.
Either that or she was just definitely afraid of you. So.
I don't know. People are usually afraid of me. I don't know why. I'm so tiny. But the legend states, well, not really legend, like an old tradition back in like the 18th century. Girls would walk up the stairs, which made no sense to me, with a mirror to see behind them. And they would, or were supposed to, as they walked up a slightly dark house, which, candles mostly lit things back then. Because there was no electricity, believe it or not, kids. And they would either catch a glimpse of their future husband or a death warning, like a skull or something. Then, for some odd reason, years later, the legend came of another Mary, who was actually, I can't remember what king it was. But she was actually a real woman. She actually would kill young, not just children, but like teens and anything like that. And basically for anti-religious reasons, just to rebel. They called her Bloody Mary. But the one I learned when I was a kid was the one of if you go to a mirror, go into like a dark room by yourself, light a candle, and repeat her name over and over and over, and chances are you're gonna have an encounter.
See, there's two ways of that. There's a 13 times you're supposed to say her name, and there's 3 times you're supposed to say
I
her
always
name.
heard it was 3.
Yeah,
There's
I ain't
2
going
ways.
for 13.
There's
That's
2 ways.
just annoying somebody at that point. Mommy. Like I would come if you summoned me with 13 times. I'm pretty sure
I'd come and just whip someone's ass, and she keeps saying, "Shut up already, will you?"
There's also the legend of what happens. When she appears. I mean, it says that if
No, then you have to offer her something.
Well, it says if you have 1 to 5 people, you get hurt in your party when you do this. If you have 5 to 15 people, you have bad luck for your family, for your entire family.
I did it with 3 people, but
if you have 15 or more people, you're perfectly safe. That's the way.
Isn't that just called a flash mob then? I'm just saying.
I'm just thinking
I'd
about
probably
it.
be safe if I was in a crowd of about 30 people.
You're 14.
Unless they're all clowns.
You're 14 years old. You're having a slumber party with a bunch of friends.
Really safe?
Oh yeah, it was a big thing, and there was a lot of stuff back then that kids did and whatever.
My brain played tricks on me when I was a kid. I would stand in front of the mirror and think I saw something behind me. Just because there's the devil stare too, where you stare in the mirror with the lights off and a candle lit, that supposedly the devil appears behind you.
That's not normal. David lied to me again.
Mike, I think your mind still plays tricks on you.
My mind does. I am mentally ill. I can't help it. That's because my Packers won.
Hey,
blame it on the Packers.
My Cowboys won too.
Yes, they did. So what you got next, Chris?
I'm gonna go with pretty much one that everybody knows, the Slender Man.
Oh yeah.
This story was actually created pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. It was created by a man named Eric Knudsen back in, it wasn't even that long, about 7-8 years ago.
Yes.
And basically, there was a contest for someone to enter a photoshopped picture claiming a supernatural whatever entity, sighting, whatever, something supernatural. So this guy, all he took was a picture of a bunch of kids, and he took one of the photos and stretched it out, one of the pictures or whatever, stretched it out, and basically made this just faceless, skinny, ghost-like looking person.
No face.
No face, the long, skinny arms, legs, claw-like, claw for hands, whatever. Well, actually, I take that back. None of that really showed at first. When he did that, he won the contest, but over time, people who did not realize that this guy did this for a contest and the picture started circulating thought it was something like a sighting. People started looking, was like, oh, Slenderman, wow, this looks pretty creepy. What's behind all these kids? What's going on? And of course, everybody knows it's whatever. But here's the thing with this, it seems like it's more impressionable for younger kids because, and the reason why is I want to tell you here why. Although everybody knows that the story is fictional and everything else, there's been a lot of, like we were talking about earlier, things that derive from this thing. And actually, there was two 12-year-old little girls
Yeah.
that stabbed another little girl 19 times.
Their own friend.
Their own friend in the name, it basically so they can try and become the Slender Man's little subordinate or something. And also because supposedly the Slender Man said that they would hurt their family.
Right.
Now the little girl did survive. The 19-year-old little girl did survive. They ended up talking to the girls. They actually ended up trying them as adults because they felt they were competent enough to know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Come
up with a plan like that.
Yeah. In Ohio, there was a 13-year-old girl that attacked her mother with a knife. Again, in the name of the Slender Man. Here in Florida, a 9-year-old or a 14-year-old girl tried to burn her house down with her mom and 9-year-old brother in it.
Wow.
And she was reported reading all the articles and reading all the stories on Slender Man. So if you notice a pattern here, all these preteen, teenage kids or whatever are it seems like they're susceptible. Of course, they could have underlying problems, and it's just something they turn to, try to believe in or whatever. But it's, and I'm not trying to get all, any type of self-righteous or religious on this thing at all. But it's our job as parents to understand the difference between fact and fiction, and to make sure our kids understand what this is, whether they would like to do this stuff or not. I know my son, he played the games, the whatever Slender Man game or whatever, and this and that. And
my own, and he's still yet to play that boy.
Yeah, he likes to play the little horror games and this and that. But I always make sure he understands, this stuff's just fake.
Yeah, this shit ain't real.
Yeah, but again,
GTA.
You get people that are impressionable or susceptible, stuff like that. It can get very real and in the wrong way. So
very.
I understand. My next one is the Mothman. This is a pretty popular urban legend. Spawned a book, which then spawned into a movie.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
In this day and age, isn't it moth person? Could they be transgender?
It could be transgender.
I'm just saying.
I didn't think. For the rest of this podcast, it's going to be moth person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this moth person, it was first sighted in Charleston and Point Pleasant, Virginia, back in '66. Basically, it was a man-sized creature or woman-sized creature.
Thank you.
That
keep it at PC here. Mike and Chris are loaded.
That stood about 6 to 7 feet tall with wings, and its eyes glowed blood red.
Oh, it's definitely a chick. I mean.
And once this couple, they were Steve and Mary Millette was the name of the couple that first reported this incident. And once they reported this, supposedly, this is where the further urban legend goes, 100 people assembled, basically like Frankenstein, with their pitchforks and fire.
Let's get them.
Yeah, let's kill them.
Let's kill what we don't understand, guys.
Yeah, so they took off into this area, and supposedly all 100 people saw it, and it was real. And this moth person, you're welcome, continues to this day be sighted during bad omens, bad events that happen up in that region of the United States.
He definitely needs a Facebook page.
Yeah. But
Or
if you have,
she, sorry.
yeah, but if you haven't seen the Moth Person movie, well, it is Mothman, but we're gonna write and have it changed to Moth Person. If you haven't seen the Moth Person prophecies, it's definitely worth watching. It's pretty good. It's got Richard Gere, I believe,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he plays a reporter, doesn't he?
Yeah, a reporter who loses his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a
Now,
good movie.
this to my understanding on the I guess the sightings would basically eventually lead to a disaster of some sort, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I believe the last one was before 9/11.
As I said, usually bad omens happen whenever it's sighted.
Or the oil spill.
Well, this is kind of good too. You got the the moth person sightings or whatever, but see, you got all these people say, "Well, I've seen it, I've seen it, I've seen it." I mean, there's so many things out there, like we talked about earlier, the Bigfoot, Wendigo, the Jersey Devil, the Bunny Rabbit Bridge. I mean, all these
Buddy
different
Man.
different little sightings that people claim they see and this and that, but
Aliens,
aliens, yeah, exactly.
which we'll be covering in a couple weeks.
But again, you don't know. This is where all these urban legends come from. You don't know what's real, what's not real.
Right.
And that's the thing about these stories. I mean, they're stories that start somewhere, and it's like you whisper a phrase and around to 30 people in a room. By the time it gets back around to you, it's something completely different.
That's called the telephone game.
Exactly.
That's a fun game to play when you're drinking.
Mike is an alcoholic.
By the time it got to the end, I guaranteed you $100 that it's gonna have something to do with Mike is sexy, because I'm gonna say Mike is sexy when it's whispered in my ear, and I'll make sure I'm right at the end.
The guy who counts the killer. Mike is sexy.
Exactly.
Something about a killer. He's killer sexy.
Dead sexy.
I'm terrible. So what you got next, Dane?
Well, since clowns are so popular again, I decided to go for a killer clown. That's not a serial killer, per se. But this one may have a shred of truth. I doubt it. As crazy as it gets. But
if it's a story I think you're going from, I believe they took this story based off of John Wayne Gacy.
No. Trust me, this one gets funny at the end.
Oh, no, I understand where it is, but I mean, that's where the fear of this story comes out. I'll let you tell the story, though.
But a wealthy family in Newport, California, decide they're going to go out for dinner and hire a babysitter. And they live in not a mansion, but a pretty big house with multiple rooms and everything. And before the family leaves, the husband asks the girl, the babysitter, to stay in this one certain room to watch TV because he doesn't want her going throughout the house. They leave. She, 20 minutes, who knows how long later. Gets the kids to bed, goes to the designated room to watch TV. She gets settled in and she notices a statue in the corner. It's a clown.
Which is a clown, right?
Yeah.
You did say clown story.
It was
What?
Mike.
Could have been talking about the girl.
Sexy Mike. Sexy Mike statue. I'm kidding. But she's trying to watch TV and the clown statue stared at her and started to creep her out. So tries to ignore it, can't no more. Started to creep her out to the point of she has to leave the room. Calls the father to ask if she can, put a blanket over it or something, and the father stops her. He's like, get the kids, go next door, call the cops, call me back. Okay, she does it. She calls the cops and she starts to think, well, after, she gets next door with the kids. Goes next door, gets the cops, they're on their way. Calls the father back. Father explains calmly, I guess.
Which I'd be freaking to flip out. I mean,
Yeah.
I swear.
But he's like, we don't have a clown statue, but my kids have been complaining about a clown watching them sleep. And he just took it as oh, they're having nightmares, blah, blah, blah. Somehow, I guess he would have go check on said kids, to see if there was a clown or anything, but, parents. Anyway, the cops come, search the house, find Guy in a clown costume. Makeup, a midget.
Now, that's what makes the story great, is it's a midget.
Yeah, I died. It looks like a midget clown. That is scary.
Actually, since we're being correct, are we supposed to call them little people?
Yes, little people.
Little people.
Can I say with an Irish accent?
Under tall.
Under tall.
The little people.
Vertically challenged.
Yes.
But cops find him. Turns out the midget clown was hiding out in their house and was like living, I guess, in one of the rooms, or going back and forth, probably in the walls. Shifty guys. And had been living there, or supposedly living there. He was also an alcoholic or whatever. But yeah, supposedly that has some shred of truth to it. But I was like, I ain't even gonna look that up. These people are already afraid of clowns. Now you want to be afraid of midget clowns. From outer space.
There's another one that's pretty close to similar called the choking dog. Have you heard that one?
Yes.
Yes.
It's pretty similar to that. About the woman comes home, finds her dog choking, and doesn't know what's going on, so she's trying to give the dog CPR or whatever. She ends up taking the dog to the vet or whatever. Leaves, comes back home, and a few minutes later, she gets a phone call from the vet. So, you still at the house? Yeah. She goes, get out now. Call the police. Like, okay. She goes, just do what I say. The vet just happened to be a friend of hers. So she gets out, calls the police, says, what's going on? She goes, your dog was choking on a finger. So apparently there was a burglar in the house. She didn't realize.
Right.
There's
a lot of different, variations of things. There's the one that, aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard that one.
Although I want to touch on the finger thing. Who automatically assumes there's someone in the house if the dog is choking on a finger? Would you not? Well, nowadays, people probably.
Well, if you think about
it,
if the dog was choking on the finger right there, it just happened. Otherwise, the dog would have suffocated. Been dead by the time she got home.
That's why I feed the dog poison before.
Was that your last one, or did you have another one?
No. I was just.
I was wondering. I was just curious.
Oh no! I can end it on that if you want me to.
No. You don't have to end it on that. By all means, continue talking.
I love to hear his voice. The last one I got is the story of a young girl named Carmen Weinstead. There's another name for the story called They Pushed Her. It's basically, it's this day and age of technology and everything else. We always get our emails, we get junk mails and everything else. Well, this one's about a chain letter. The story originates around 2006 about a young girl who lived in
a shoe.
Yeah, she lived. I can't remember, somewhere in the Midwest somewhere, and she ended up having to move because her father lost her job and he found another job. But she moved. It was in the middle of her school session, which she was in high school, maybe I don't know, junior, whatever. Well, they moved to Indiana. She has a hard time making friends, this and that. Well, these girls end up befriending her. Okay. Well, they okay, she's like, great, I'm making friends, everything else. Well, come to find out, the girls are pretty much just evil girls.
He wanted to say bitch.
Yeah. I refrained. They started talking bad about her. She heard about it. Well, once she heard about it, she just, didn't want nothing to do with them. Well, then they started bullying her. Picking on her. They did stuff like pour yogurt in her backpack. They would, just do horrendous things to her. Well, finally, she couldn't take it no more. She was going to go tell the teacher and let him know what's going on. Well, the day she was supposed to do it, they had a fire drill. So everyone went out, whatever. And as the teacher was going along giving roll calls, the girls thought they'd be pretty mean and throw her down a manhole cover, a sewer cover. So, well, they ended up pushing her down the hole. So,
young girls.
Yeah. Yeah. Girls are sitting there laughing, chuckling, whatever. Well, the teacher's calling her name, couldn't find her. And they're like, oh, well, she's down there in all the muck and crap and shit and everything else. Well, they go down there, look down the hole. As they look, they find something ghastly. They find her head completely twisted around. She ended up breaking her neck on the way down and had her face ripped off by the ladder on the way down. So she died just a horrible death. Of course, the girls are going to cover themselves up. Then the police asked them. They ruled it was an accident. Case closed. Well, the girls, they went on with their daily life or whatever. Well, they started getting a letter, a chain letter email sent to them called "They Pushed Her." So they didn't think nothing of it, whatever, delete it. Well, as the girls would go and take a shower, go to the bathroom, do whatever, they'd hear just a loud cackling coming from the drain or whatever, and that would be the last thing they heard. And each girl, one by one, was found in this exact same way that the young girl, Carmen, died. In the sewer drain, in the muck and crap.
I'm scared.
Neck broken, face ripped off.
I have one question.
Do they all float down here, Georgia?
Here is the thing, though. It didn't stop there. The chain letter that kept going would go to other people. And people who would basically delete the chain letter or didn't believe it would also suffer the same fate. Basically, it's her spirit, finding people that didn't believe her, going on and doing this, getting them people to suffer the same fate.
Please don't have a Facebook.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, they would, basically it's just, and the title of the chain letter you'd get, just the title would say, "They pushed her." That's what it'd say.
If you send me a chain letter tomorrow, I'm going to kick you in the gonads.
So if you see a chain letter that says "They pushed her," don't open it.
That's cruel. And guess
But
what?
don't delete it also.
And that's all we have for you this week.
We'll leave you on that note. Guys, sweet dreams, everybody.
Have a good night.
Hey, don't forget to
Like us.
on YouTube.
Share.
Mike was almost going to sign off there.
What about
Don't forget
subscribe?
don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mike and Chris Reloaded. Like and share our Facebook page.
Forget the Instagram.
Instagram, Tumblr,
Google Plus.
Google Plus. We're on everything.
And we got a website coming too.
We're everywhere.
We're getting there.
Don't push us. Don't push us.
We'll send clowns.
Anyway, again, if you guys have any urban legends that's some favorites of yours, feel free to post them. Let us know. Give us some comments. We'll be happy to mention them, talk about them, do whatever you want. But we appreciate y'all for listening, and we got a whole month long of these coming up.
Yeah, next week we're doing supernatural sightings, I believe.
Yes, and we'll have Devin joining us.
Devin. Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
His brother from another mother is what he says. Danes, they can't see who I'm pointing to.
I would hope so, but
I saw you pointing. As a clown was standing outside.
I'll do the
door.
Disney point.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever see that? Disney has to point with two fingers because Walt Disney hated the fact that anybody took it offensive for one person to point a finger at him, so he made people do two fingers out with the thumb up and the other two curled in with the palm showing.
Even Mickey does it that way.
Yep, everybody has. Even Mickey on the cartoon has to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's how he points. But
another urban legend.
yeah, there you go.
Not quite as scary, but still an urban legend.
His
All right.
fingers.